Now in the shard example here on the Toy Store database, we've currently got 4 sharded databases that are grouped together in an elastic pool that you can see in this image here. We've got 100 DTUs for the pool, and each database can use 100 of those eDTUs. These eDTUs are shared between the 4 sharded databases. Now, elastic database transactions, what this means from the pool in terms of what we've got there, in peak hours, a database can consume a maximum of 100 DTUs. And there's 100 DTUs there to meet the performance of demand. In off-peak hours, when we're under a light load, we can consume a lot less. And no load consumes 0 eDTUs. So what this does, it allows us to solve the problem of over or under provisioning. Okay, and it allows us to save costs as well, as we only pay for the eDTUs for our pool, not on an individual database by database basis. So we can reuse and share those eDTUs between our pool of databases. Now, a standard S3 service tier that has got 100 DTUs comes in at a price of around $147 a month. 4 such databases at that level are going to cost $588 a month. An elastic pool that has an eDTU of 100 is priced at $220 a month. This means you're saving around $367 per month, around a 62% cost reduction, if those databases are in an elastic pool. That's quite significant. Now, if the amount of customers increases and we increase the number of shard databases to say 8, this means that we have 8 databases in the elastic pool, and potentially would result in a cost saving at around 85% in monthly cost. And this is where the elastic pool becomes really beneficial. Now, elastic pools have got some great benefits, but to get the most out of those benefits, we need to size them properly. Otherwise, we're going to end up spending a lot more than we wanted to on elastic pools. Now, Azure SQL databases will automatically analyze historical database utilization numbers and give elastic pool configuration recommendations on the Azure portal. They'll also provide eDTU estimates for a custom group of databases on a server, and we can add and remove databases from the custom group to get the eDTU recommendations for that set of databases. And when we're satisfied our pool is set up and configured correctly, we can create the pool. And obviously we can tweak our eDTUs as we go in as well to make sure we maintain that balance between performance and cost. In this demo, we will look at sizing an elastic pool. Elastic pools have got a great number of benefits, but those benefits are only really realized if our elastic pools are sized properly. Otherwise, you could end up spending a lot more money in terms of cost of your resources on your elastic pool than you would with, say, a normal non-elastic pool database. So Azure SQL Database will automatically analyze historic database utilization and provide elastic pool configuration recommendations through the portal. They'll also provide an eDTU estimate for a custom group of databases on a server. We can add or remove databases from custom groups to get the eDTU recommendation, and once you're satisfied the pool is configured, you can create the pool. Now, in terms of making these estimates on what you're going to need, you can do it manually. Okay, so then you can make a decision as to whether or not an elastic pool would be more cost effective than individual databases. If you're doing it manually, you would find the estimated DTU. So there's a formula for this, and it's basically the maximum of the total number of databases times the average DTU utilization per database, and the maximum number of currently peaking databases times the peak DTU utilization per database. We'll find the estimated pool storage by adding the individual database storage, and then find the eDTU that provides the estimated storage using the calculator that you can see on the screen here. Okay, and then we can compare the cost between the two. So this Azure Database DTU calculator that you can find here is DTU calculator azurewebsites.net. Okay, we're going to choose Elastic Databases. To calculate the eDTUs for multiple databases, we need to capture several metrics for each database on our SQL servers. Now, to get the most accurate measurement, we should get a representative production workload. So basically, when our servers are at their busiest, we need to capture the workload then. And we need to measure the following metrics for at least an hour or so during this period, so the calculator can analyze utilization to give the best recommendations. So the metrics we need to collect are processor, the percentage processor time, logical disk, so disk reads per second, logical disk writes per second, and then database log bytes flushed per second. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, you can download a command line or a PowerShell utility. I'm going to use the PowerShell utility because that is my current tool of choice for these things, and it's very useful. Let's pop this on your screen. And when you download this utility, you get a script that looks something similar to this. So there's a whole bunch of comments here. We've got some, it's going to collect some counters for the DTU calculator and log them as a CSV file. And it gives you the default location. Now I've actually changed my default location to be the same location as lesson 7. And I'm just going to delete this so we can create a new one. Counters get collected at 1 second intervals for an hour or 3,600 seconds. Okay, there's no support or warranty here. Use at your own risk and so on. Okay, so I'm just going to run this. I'll go away and collect these counters. If I open up my lesson 7 folder, we can see I've got a CSV file in there, and they'll collect every second for an hour. When you're happy that you've been running your workload collector for long enough, we can stop the collection running by pressing Ctrl+C. Then we will return to the Azure SQL Database DTU calculator. We're going to drop down to the upload CSV files and calculate. Okay. Once the script is complete for our databases, we can enter the number of cores for our server. Now mine's got 2, and upload the CSV file. So I'm going to click Choose File here, and I'm going to go into my code folder, lesson 7, and I've got my CSV file here. Now, in fairness, the machine I've been capturing this on doesn't have any workload on it, so I'm not expecting this to make any great recommendations here. But then you hit calculate, and it'll give you recommendations based off that workload. So what it says there, based on your database utilization, we recommend you migrate your SQL Server workload to the standard Elastic pool. This service here would cover around 100% of my utilization and require a total of 258 eDTUs. So it's giving me a recommendation to start with.